Welcome to the Female Finance Collective podcast, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money.
I'm Jen, and I struggled for many years with debt and feeling financially overwhelmed, so I know how frustrating it can be. Now I'm passionate about helping women confidently take control of their personal finances.
And I'm Meri-Li. As a financial planner, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of women who've transformed their financial lives. I'm excited to share my insights to help you on your financial journey.
Hey, I'm Sybil. I built my dream life traveling the world and creating financial freedom on a teacher's salary. Now I help women take charge of their money and burn brighter in life.
Let's start the money conversation.
Welcome to the Female Finance Collective. So today's topic, we're going to talk about setting up a money date. And this is something that I've done personally for many, many years, and it really has changed and improved my finances, both in terms of how well my finances are doing, but also in terms of how comfortable and confident I feel about my money. And when we say money date, this works even if you're single. So it's just dedicated time that you put in your calendar where you take care of any money tasks that you have. And it doesn't have to take forever. Like you could start with 15 minutes. Easy things to start with are things like just having a look at your spending, maybe taking a look at what you have in terms of debt, and you can just progress from there. But doing these money dates, it really helps just schedule a little bit of time and attention to your money. And, a lot of people will say, I don't have time to look at my money, I'm too busy. But if you have time to scroll on your phone, if you have time to watch Netflix or other shows, you definitely have the time to spend, with your money. You can do this alone. You can do this with your spouse. You can even have a money date with your kids. That's something that I've been implementing with my teenage boys. Just talking to them about money and what they're spending and what they're thinking about in terms of saving. So Jen, I'd love to hear if you do money dates and what that looks like in your household.
Yes. So, okay, I used to do them when I was single because I don't know if I've said this on here. I'm sure I have. I didn't get married till I was like almost 38. So I had a lot of years of like sorting myself out by myself. So I once I started to like decide money wasn't this horrendous thing that was just meant to cause my life stress and overwhelm. I did try to like make time to like sit down and look at things, acknowledge my balances. It was a slow process. Sometimes it was real little and sometimes I was a little more committed, but I think making it an event, like pour yourself a glass of wine or get yourself a pastry that you really enjoy and sit down and do it as a way to sort of like make it an event, make it a significant thing that you're doing, and also kind of reward yourself, right? You're making time for this. If it's not something that you really love doing, then like bring a little bit of something you do love to it and make it important. And that's kind of what I tried to do slowly. Like, okay, I'm actually going to sit down. I'm going to open my computer. The only thing I'm here to do is focus on my finances and really like remind myself that it wasn't just like a thing I was doing on the side. It was like an intentional time spent on money. And that started to become more of a habit for me. Then when my husband and I got married, we did not pay very much attention. Like we weren't like overspending or anything, but we weren't very thoughtful about talking about our money, sitting down. And then several years ago, we were like, what? We need to really like look at our spending, create a budget. And then we started doing these kind of money dates where we were like, okay, it went in our calendar. The ones I did by myself, real willy-nilly, I was like, ooh, I should probably look at my money this weekend. Now we would try to like put it on our calendar. Hey, let's Sunday morning, let's sit at the kitchen table together and like go through our finances. And it makes a huge difference. We can like sometimes when we're just having the conversation, things come up that we wouldn't have considered on our own. We've come up with ideas, ways to save. We realized both of us were interested in like, hey, we should plan for this, or hey, did you want to spend money on that? That we never would have probably talked about if we didn't intentionally sit down for those money dates or money conversations. So I have found them to be really powerful in different ways, right? When I was by myself, it definitely made me feel more confident. It made me feel more knowledgeable about my money. Um, I would always have these conversations where I would tell myself I was terrible with money. I didn't know what I was doing, but those kind of turned the page on that for me a little bit. And then when we had them together, it just got us, nobody was shaming anybody like, hey, why'd you spend money on this? Or why'd you do that? It just helped us kind of align our financial goals, what we were working for. It helped us change our spending a little bit because we were able to look and be like, oh, we're ordering out more than we probably realized. That's a crazy amount of money. Let's stop doing that. And we could agree to it together. I think that's the big shift. Do you see with like couples that you work with where like one person, maybe they've just never talked about it, and so one person was like, oh well, we can spend our money this way, it's no big deal, and the other person was like, I don't know if that's where I want my money to go.
Yeah, I what I find over and over again is in relationships, people tend to have very different perspectives about money. So often there's one person that feels a bit more anxious. That would be me, and one person that doesn't quite keep as much tabs on it. They are more of a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel the stress as much, and that would be my partner. And it really, what I find great about the money date is it helps to diffuse and calm down any financial arguments or conflicts, because these discussions are not meant to be, there's no blame, there's no tension. They're just, you're just looking at your money. You're kind of, again, being forward thinking with your money. And it's not meant to be any kind of blame game. It's really looking at your finances like you would a business. So it's like, what can we do? What can we do to improve our finances? What are goals that we have? Like, are we going to increase our income? What does the next year look like? Like, it can be anything that you want it to be. An easy place to start is tasks. So things that
Mm-hmm.
need to be done. So like this time of year when this is going to air, tax season is coming up. So it can be as simple as taking 30 minutes each and getting your tax stuff together and just talking about it and motivating each other to to accomplish these tasks. Because the reality is, money forms a ginormous part of every relationship that we have. And it is very important to have a good handle on your finances. It will make your life easier. It will make it simpler. It will make it calmer. And the money date is just a structured way to make sure that you're putting some time aside to look at your finances.
I like how you said also like a structured way, because I think that's the key. It's not just sit down over coffee and talk about, I mean, it can partly be this, but in my opinion, it should be more than just like grab your morning coffee. Hey, how do you feel about our money? Oh, I feel fine about it. Oh, we should probably spend less here. Okay, good chat. Like um, it should be a little bit more structured. Like I would say almost if you haven't done these money dates before, whether they're with yourself or maybe you have a friend who's like your accountability partner in finances and you guys agree to like sit down together or jump on a Zoom call and like you're both going to be like, okay, this is an accountability call. I'm going to work on mine. You're going to work on yours. Let's check in 30 minutes. But if you have create maybe like a little agenda or a little checklist of things you're going to look at, like reviewing your spending, look at your savings. How much money is in the savings? How much money have you been spending? Are you within your budget parameters or are you overspending somewhere? How are your investments doing? I mean, maybe don't look right now. If you're a panicker, don't check your investments right now. If you're not a panicker and you're like, ooh, okay, we're good. Things are going down. Maybe it's time to buy. And you can like think about that. If you're not in that headspace, skip the investment part, right? But look at what you actually have going on and create a little checklist so that you know, okay, these are all the things I do once a month or once a week or every other weekend or whatever time frame you set aside so that you know exactly where you are financially. I just cannot tell you. I'm kind of repeating myself, but I felt so empowered once I started being like, "Oh, I actually know. I know how much I owe. I know how much is in my account." Instead of just like crossing my fingers and squinting at my bank statement, hoping I still had money at the end of the month. That I lived that for a long time. And once you start actually knowing, okay, I know how much I've spent, I know how much is left, I know how much is in savings, that is a really empowering feeling. And then it gives you the confidence to like go to the next level. Maybe then you are ready to like, okay, let me think about investing. It's baby
Yeah.
steps, but really setting aside the time for that is so important.
It is. And to get a little serious about the topic too, is I highly believe that, you know, both partners in a relationship should have an understanding of their finances
Yes.
because, you know, usually there is one point person that does a lot of the day-to-day stuff or even the big picture managing of the money, but both partners need to know and have a general sense of their finances. Because if something happens to that point person, it is a really tough transition. Sometimes you find out information that is opposite to what you thought. If couples separate, obviously finances are a big reason people separate, and there can be some discoveries that happen during those time points that are shocking. And looking at your money monthly together can be one of the ways where you just have an understanding, you know what is going on, you can support each other. So, this is relationship building stuff. You
Mhm.
can have enjoyable conversations too. I think one of the most interesting topics can be talking about what money was like in childhood, because it really helps to paint a picture of how a person behaves with money. So, how your spouse behaves with money, because it's usually connected to childhood. And that can give you the ability to have a lot of grace and calm about things like spending, because no one's going to spend exactly the way that you want them to. Like this is the tricky part of relationships. We all have
Right.
different goals. We want different things, and knowing that childhood view can really help to frame, how they deal with money and why people do what they do. So, those are interesting conversations, talking about what you really value spending money on and why. Sometimes there can be a lot of conflict. Some people like shopping, and the other partner, if they're not a shopper, they might view that as being excessive or frustrating. Well, having the conversation and understanding why the person wants those things, why it's important, it really helps to just establish, like just diffuse tension and just align your goals together. And when a couple works together on their money, like obviously you have two people with incomes, you have two people that are out there doing things to improve the finances. It can be really, really powerful for the family.
Yes, to all of that. I think working on your finances as partners, that's the key. Like you use the term partner a few times, and I think that is the key. There really shouldn't be, and for the like serious reasons that you said, there shouldn't be just one person in a relationship who is knowledgeable of the finances. For a lot of reasons. I have a friend who got divorced, and then she was like, he did all the money, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to do anything financially because they got married really young, and he had done it the whole time, and so she had to relearn everything. Um, Also had a friend who lost her husband uh suddenly, and she was like, I don't even know where the papers are. Like, where do I even find that? Do you have life insurance? I'm sure, but where the papers are, I have no idea. So that is also really empowering, right? It's having the knowledge that, like, if something happened, if there was an emergency, I know where everything is. I would know how to handle it. And that is true whether you're the woman in the relationship who's managing everything, or if there's your partner is managing everything, both, or two men or two women or whatever, right? One person shouldn't be the owner of all of the knowledge of your
Yeah.
financial status. And I know that money arguments are a huge source of contention for relationships. I know it's the reason a lot of relationships end. And so I think what you're saying is really, really powerful in that if people can prevent some of this by having these regular conversations, not putting it off until you've got this huge amount of debt that the other person didn't even realize was happening, right? And you have a conversation and you really listen to understand. Why
Yeah.
do you spend so much? Why is this so important to you? Why do you want all these things? Let me genuinely try to understand and then try to come up with some compromises or ways that you can both manage that together. I think that is just good life advice in general, Meri-Li, that you shared with your friends or family or anything, to like listen to understand and have those conversations. But I think when it comes to money and really establishing the future of yourselves as a couple, as a family, being financially prepared. Do we want to send our kids to college? Do we want to retire sometime, or are we both just planning to work forever? Like, all of that needs to come through conversations early on. You shouldn't just be sitting down when you're 75 being like, oh shoot, what do we do now? So I think the earlier that you can implement these dates, whether you're 21 and you're single and you're going to start doing them for yourself, or whether you're 55 and you have a partner and you want to sit down and just start, there's no wrong time to start, right? It's never too late,
Yeah.
but just make that commitment.
Yeah. And there are some to don'ts when it comes to money dates. So don't schedule them for like the time of day or day of the week that you just hate. So if you're not a Monday morning person, then like don't schedule your money date for Monday morning. Ideally, if you're a couple, it is scheduled. So you're not just pulling your spouse aside and saying, let's go, we're doing our money date right now. No, it's got to be like a mutually agreed upon time where you're both ideally at your best and able to focus on finances. So not at the end of a 12-hour shift or something like that. So really picking time of day of the week is super important. Ideally, less distractions. So if it's your kid's wild time, then maybe that's not the time either. And again, it's just like great conversation, limit arguing or blaming, all of those things. So you're just looking at your numbers, you're just kind of starting to think about things. Jen, you mentioned a great idea as the first place to start, and it's just taking inventory. Like, where are our accounts? Where are our retirement savings? If something happened to one of us, who does the other person reach out to? Like, what does our financial life look like? That is a great place to start if you've never done this before. And I work with couples on this all the time, and often people come to a relationship with lots of different accounts, and then they come to this transition where they start to do joint accounts and start saving for things together. So it's just having a look at structure, account structure, your credit cards, things like that. Those tend to be the easiest places to start.
I love it. We gave people a lot of things to think about, whether you're doing this on your own or doing with this with a partner. Um, if you're in a new relationship, what a great habit to start from the jump, right? Just from the beginning, you're like, this is really something I value. I need us to do this. And I love the idea of also just organizing and planning for the future. Maybe you put all, like, I love how you just said, like, figuring it all out, but maybe I just pictured in my mind, like, a document on the computer or a piece of paper where you literally just list the place. These are the people I would call. This is where the accounts are. This is the banks. Just having that information handy, I feel like that would be an instant relief and probably not even something people realize they're stressing about. But once you just knew there would be like this sense of kind of calm, like, okay, I know some stuff and I would know what to do if an emergency came up. So our call to action today is to get a date on the calendar, whether you're having this date with yourself or you're having it with somebody else, meeting up with your accountability partner, get your money date on the calendar and get ready to talk about your finances. Make it fun. If it feels like a painful thing for you, do something fun. Go somewhere you really enjoy or somewhere you feel good. Wear your most comfortable outfit, whatever it is that will make it feel just a little bit more exciting for you. And let us know how it goes. We would love to know, like, when you have your first money date, how did it feel? How did it go? And what are you going to start? How are you going to keep that habit going? Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat with you soon.